Be good and rewatch it. We're hip deep in grime.
Here's my question, guys. Why do we keep watching mediocre ass movies?
Austin and I had this fucking argument yesterday.
It was not an argument. It was over text. I didn't use caps once.
Austin was like, you know what we should watch next? And he lists like a shit ton of like B movies.
Okay, to be clear,
no,
there are reasons for that, and you know it.
I see all the caps coming from Rob's side, not from Austin's side.
That's another thing. That's another thing. I'm not going to read this out loud, but we were talking about general waypoint strategy, ways to present a platform for people to do things that they want to do, which includes talk about some bad movies.
Your excuse was, Patrick likes schlock horror, and that's the world we live in. That's
Patrick and Danielle like schlock horror.
Yeah, dude, putting that all on me, motherfucker?
Dude, you proposed to your wife at a schlock horror fest. There is video of...
They both like schlock horror. It's romantic.
Yeah, my wife and I fell in love watching Puppet Master movies, so get off. Go have one.
Do one.
Go do one.
Do one.
You already have that podcast.
I want to hear the proposal story.
Oh my god, they're so mean to this director, like to his face. While they, it's excruciating. He's really hurt.
Wait, who are you mean to?
I in your proposal? Band. No.
Will you marry me and fuck this bad director?
The short version is Charles Band, director of a lot of schlocky, producer of a lot of schlocky horror movies like Ghoulies, Puppet Master. My wife and I more or less fell in love watching those films. Later, he got into making not so great films that were kind of capitalizing on his name. Not super surprised. That happens to a lot of horror directors. He had a series called Evil Bong. The third movie, Evil Bong 3.
Yeah.
Evil Bong. Yep.
Oh, you don't know about this, huh?
The first one is kitschy enough.
You don't know about this at all. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, Evil Bong 3, they had a contest. It's like, hey, come up with a subtitle for Evil Bong 3, and you'll get a writing credit or story credit on IMDb. I was like, yeah, that sounds hilarious. Okay. So over drinks, I came up with a friend, Evil Bong 3, Wrath of Bong. Also came up with a whole plot summary. Thought that you needed to submit a plot summary. You did not need to submit a plot summary. I submitted a plot summary. Then they were like, we're going to make this a fan vote. And they put it on a bad polling website in which it didn't cache your web browser for voting. So I just voted over and over for my own thing thousands of times.
You also told people to vote for it.
I did. I didn't have much of a Twitter following back then. There's pre-Giant Bomb.
Okay.
So I was known, but not it's a different.
That MTV News Army mobilized for you though.
I'm sure I got some votes out of it. It was mostly me sitting at a desk at G4 just refreshing it during my lunch break. So I win, and they're like, oh, actually, Patrick, he submitted they were befuddled. He submitted a summary with his title. We love it though, so we're gonna make a script out of that, and we're gonna shoot that movie. So they shoot that movie. We actually went to the set in LA for it.
The Evil Bong 3?
No.
Story by
came up
Patrick
with a plot
Klebick.
Summary. Story by, it's on IMDb. I'm in the
You
poster.
are.
Thank you.
Wait, are you in the poster?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm in the poster. It says story by.
Oh, I thought you meant you were in the poster. I thought you were.
No, not my face. My name. And then there's a horror convention every year in Chicago. And they, not just completely coincidentally, said, we are going to do the premiere of Evil Bong 3 in Chicago. We were living in San Francisco at the time. We'd gone from LA to San Francisco. And my wife, roughly 9 months before that, was like, hey, I want to get married. We're not in a rush or anything like that. I want to get married before I'm 30. That was the deadline I was given. I was like, okay, I can work with that. That gives me a 2-year to propose. And I was like, if I'm going to propose, I got to do something interesting. And then this kind of fell in my lap. And I was like, oh, we could fly back. I could take my family and friends to this movie that I now have a story by credit. And on stage, I went up and I was introduced by the director, and I proposed on stage at Evil Bong 3, Wrath of Bong. And that is the story of how I proposed to my wife.
It's beautiful.
It's a very sweet story, but the part that really stands out in my memory is when the director is like, so yeah, what made you decide to do this? And Patrick's like, well, Katie and I love shitty movies. And the guy
oh my God, that's Patrick! You're wearing a suit! Ah!
Yeah, I went for
There's a video. Yeah, it's a lot. You look 13. Not 8 to 12, though.
Once you get out of 12, you're good. Rob, I was nervous.
Oh my God.
It's very cute. It's very good.
Oh,
And then
my heart is pounding.
the movie was so bad and borderline offensive that everyone I invited, like 30 plus people, left to go to an open bar that my dad opened up in the hotel lobby,
Hell yeah.
in the theater
Shout
lobby.
out.
My
Save
dad,
the fucking
my
day.
dad, my dad 5 minutes in says, "I'm not doing this," and then walks out and he's like, "I'm just gonna go get drinks. Tell anyone they could come and have some." And I was like, "That's fine. I'm the only one that stayed to the end." My wife said, "My family's here. I'm gonna go hang with them." And I was like, "That's fine. I'm going to sit here till the end."
Okay. You know what?
That's Patrick's opus.
Yep.
Give him that.
Best. This is the best story I've ever heard.
Yep.
Men, everyone actually out there, step the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Get your proposal game to Patrick Klepek level proposing at Evil Bong 3.
Yeah.
It-
3D.
And
Three-
so my
3D?
my wife doesn't. Yeah, it was 3D, red and blue. Red, just the red. Not
This
the
is
good
Bong
3D.
just
it was
coming
just
out the
3D.
screen at you, just like.
Oh, and it also had smell-o-vision. No. So you would scratch
Are you
things
sure?
during the movie.
Or were people just like, this movie is smell-o-vision, right?
is the
Just
most
clouds
amazing
of smoke,
story.
just like billowing out of the theater.
It was me hotboxing in the back.
What a twist! The camera pans down the aisle and walks forward, and you see in the back of 12-year-old Natalie hotboxing the theater. Unbreakable
Huge
2.
long
Times.
I also, my wife doesn't wear a lot of jewelry, and so I didn't have to buy her a lot of rings over the years, and so I didn't know her ring size,
God.
and there'd be no way for me to ask that without giving away the game.
Hey, what's your ring
And
size?
so-
Yeah, that's not great.
Right, like
So what'd you do?
especially after she'd already given me a 2-year runway
Yeah,
deadline.
you should
like
have
any ring
asked
size
that
talk
during
was,
the 2-year conversation.
I should
That's
have.
the plan.
I should have. But I didn't. And so instead, I at the time looked up how to spoof email addresses. And so I sent her an email from Charles Band, the director, that was like, "Hey, we want to make something special for you out of something from the set.
What?
What's your ring size?" And she responded with like, "That sounds so good." And the kicker to this is that so I got the ring size, got the ring made. When I proposed, we sat down, and she turns to me and she goes like, "Well, did Charles make something for me too? What about that email?"
Wow, I was about to say there's no way she believed that, and then you fucking nailed it. So nice work.
That's like a kid still pretending to believe in Santa. I think that was her throwing. Like, you pulled it off, sweetie. Good job.
That's incredible.
It is.
That is really the best thing ever.
But this is why we can't have nice things on this show. Because Austin is like, we have to play to Patrick's singular tastes. And so it's going to be Blumhouse all the way down. And
Wow, it has been.
Rob, you should just pick the next movie.
We
Take
did.
us on a
It's
journey.
Serenity.
that's Patrick's
Rob
fault,
liked
though.
it so much he already saw it.
Rob, after Serenity, you can Rob's taste du jour. You can tell
can
us.
pick
You can
the
take
movie.
us.
Yeah.
Take us on a journey.
Take us on a journey, Rob.
Rob's movie.
Ava
next.
is a little far away. Like, we know Ava's coming this spring. We have a lot of canvas to work with before that. So, Rob, I'm hereby designating you.
You said Ava. I felt like AVA. What is that? What movie are we
Evangelion.
looking forward
Oh
to
my
this
God.
spring? I know.
Rob, I'm designating you movie picker. That's it. I've done it. Executive order. As a super person, this is my power is telling you can do this.
Hey, we have some good sci-fi horror films we came up with though the other
We
day.
did.
Maybe
That's the
should
thing. Is
do.
we kind of found a middle ground here.
Which is what?
We're not going to talk about it yet. I mean, well, maybe we should. We should let people send in what they think.
Do you want to throw out some
Yeah,
ideas?
So Danielle came back and was really high on the idea of doing some sci-fi horror stuff. Surprise. Danielle, also big fan of horror and big fan of sci-fi stuff. One of the movies they came up with, Sunshine, Danny Boyle's space horror thriller, and then becomes a horror movie in the last act.
incredible soundtrack.
Incredible soundtrack to that film. And I haven't seen it in probably a decade, but I remember liking it mostly. And I think from that, we can build out a palette of things in that space. And I'd love to hear some suggestions from people. So I don't want to commit to things, but I think that is like the center point of like sci-fi, horror, and like the thing Rob wants is for it to be good, which means there are movies that you're going to suggest, and you know what? Go ahead and suggest them. But we would like to have at least
Unbreakable was in that realm, right? Like good and good but like flawed but interesting.
Yeah.
We talked about Annihilation on a Waypoints, didn't we? Or no?
I don't think we did talk about Annihilation.
Annihilation
so.
would be good.
It's
And it is
out.
streaming
Annihilation would be good. We should talk about Annihilation.
Such a good movie.
We should do Annihilation. This is it. We're doing it live,
Doing it live,
as they say.
as they say.
well,
yeah, if you have
if you
suggestions,
building.
people should hit us
In
up.
this vein. Oh, what if we did Sphere? Is Sphere a bad movie?
What's Sphere?
Was Sphere?
Man, I haven't seen that in
I
a long
read it.
time. I remember
The book
loving
was good.
Sphere.
I remember loving
read
the
the book,
book.
too.
I don't remember how the movie was. Sam Jackson's in it. There's some continuity. All right.
There has
All
to
right,
be
we'll
a
think about
thread.
it. So
there
if-
has to be a thread that connects each.
There has to be like from movie to movie. There has to be
6
some
degrees.
sort of connective
Yeah.
tissue.
Yeah.
Looking up cinematographers, best boys.
The grip, the
way to
key grip
justify
is the
it.
same on this one.
I had a sweet arc where we were going to segue from the Demonico stuff through Assault
I know
on
you
Precinct
did.
13 right into Carpenter.
You're right.
And then it would have just been Greenfields and High Tides.
You're right. Well, we didn't do that, and
Well,
instead
until-
we did this.
Until then, you can follow everything we do at Waypoint, waypointdevice.com. You can sign up for this podcast, which if you're listening, it's separate from the Waypoint Radio feed, but please leave a review. Please leave some stars, whichever. Do both if you can. You can follow me at Patrick Klepek. Rob, where can people follow you yelling about, I don't know, what do you do on Twitter?
I tweet about Michael Mann movies and how they're the most
Not
important works of cinema of the 20th and 21st centuries. At Rob Zachney.